Welcome to the online lectures for software engineering. In the previous class, we have studied what requirement engineering is. Its definition we have studied, and we have studied the different tasks. There were 7 different tasks for requirement engineering. In today's class, we'll be studying initiating the requirement engineering process, which is also called as establishing the groundwork. Now, within this requirement engineering, that is whenever you're gathering all the requirements, there are going to be multiple stakeholders, or you can say the different customers that are going to be using this particular software. They can be located in different countries or different city. These customers may be in different countries or different cities, or there is another possibility that they have very less knowledge about what system needs to be developed, what type of system do they want, or they may have limited technical knowledge, or there is limited time to interact with the requirement engineer. Now, when you have these many limitations, the software team that is designing the software, this software team needs to work with all of these constraints. They need to work with all of these constraints. Within this initiating requirement engineering process, we are going to study the different steps that will be required to initiate all these requirements so that the requirement engineer can get the project started and it can keep the project moving towards a successful solution. Now, the first step is initiating. Now, as I told you, this initiating requirement engineering process, it is also called as the groundwork. Now, within this initiating requirement engineering process, you've got 4 different tasks that need to be completed. Identifying the stakeholders, recognizing multiple viewpoints, working towards collaboration, and asking the first question. We'll be looking for each of this in detail. The first one is identifying the stakeholders. Now, what are stakeholders? The definition for stakeholder is anyone who benefits in a direct or indirect way from the system which is being developed. So this is the definition for stakeholder. Any person who gets benefit by the development of this software in a direct or in an indirect way, that is called as a stakeholder. Now, what are the different examples for stakeholders, or what are the different stakeholders? Examples for the different stakeholders: it can be managers, product manager. You're going to have different managers, a person that is going to manage the product and the manager that is going to manage the entire development of the software. Then you've got the marketing people or the marketing department. Then you're going to have internal or external customers, the end users, consultants, the product engineer, the software engineer, the support and maintenance engineer, so this list goes on. So these are the people that are going to be benefited directly or indirectly when the software is being developed. So those are the set of stakeholders. Now, all of those different stakeholders are going to have their own point of view. That is, the maintenance and support team, they want a different point of view. That is, they want the software to be easily maintainable. The software engineer wants to complete the software within the specified time. The marketing people, they want the technology or the features so that they can attract the different customers. So everyone has got their own point of view for developing the software. Now, coming back, to identifying the stakeholders. So at the inception phase it is the first task within the requirement engineering tasks. So at the inception phase, you create a list of people who will contribute into that will contribute input as requirements. So we have seen the different stakeholders. Now, when you identify all the stakeholders, you're going to identify what the what each of the stakeholder wants within the software. You're going to identify this. Now, initially, the list will grow as stakeholders are contacted, because every stakeholder will be asked, who else do you think I should talk to? That is, you're going to go and talk to the software engineer. The software engineer might tell you need to contact with the product manager. The product manager might tell you that you need to contact with the product engineer. So you're going to gather each and every requirement from each and every stakeholder. The first step is identifying the different stakeholders. You're going to identify the stakeholders, and you're also going to get their point of view. That is how the system they want that needs to be developed. Now, in here, you're also identifying the point of view. That is, what are the different aspects that you need to explore. And in here, you're also going to identify the different risks that might occur when this software that you're developing, if it fails. So you're going to identify the different point of view, or you can say the different benefits and the risks. The two things that are going to be identified in here are the benefits and risks of developing the particular software. Moving on to the second task. The second task is recognizing multiple viewpoints. Now, as we have identified, you've got multiple stakeholders. Now, multiple stakeholders means you're also going to have multiple viewpoints. Now, if we take an example of three different stakeholders, the marketing department will be interested in the different functions and features so that they can attract different customers from across the market. It will be easy for them to sell the product. The support engineer, they may focus on how they're going to maintain the software. Business managers, they will be interested in features that will be ready to meet defined market window. That is, if suppose this particular product, you have identified this set of this specific features. Now, this specific features, they need to be launched into the market by some specific time. Now, if you go beyond that time, some other product might be launched. So you need to have a tough competition. So the business manager is going to focus upon the different features and how much time it is going to take to deliver the software to the market. That is going to be identified. So each and every stakeholder has got its own point of view, its own features. Now, as you have considered in here three different stakeholders, if you put these three different stakeholders in a room and ask them what type of software they want to be developed, you might have four or even more than that different options of how the software is going to be developed. So you're going to have multiple viewpoints. You're going to identify each and every point of view of each and every stakeholder, not only one, but as many point of views they have. You're going to identify all the different point of views of each and every stakeholder. The next, third one is working toward collaboration. As you've identified different stakeholders, you've identified their viewpoints, different viewpoints. The next step is you need to work towards collaboration. Now, as you've seen that putting three people within a room and asking them what type of software need to be developed, they're going to say different types of ideas. You can get four or more than that. Now, the job of this requirement engineer is to identify the different areas of commonality. Like, you've got different stakeholders. Each and every stakeholder is going to have its own requirement that he wants within the software. So within this, if suppose first set, you're going to have different requirements from different stakeholders. Now, this requirements, you're going to have a list of all those requirements. Within the list, what are the common areas that you're going to find within each and every stakeholder? That is going to be identified, the areas of commonality and areas of conflict. That is where you're disagreeing. You're going to identify those areas of conflict and inconsistencies where your requirements are not complete. You're going to identify that. Now, when you have identified the different ideas, the different common areas, the conflicts, there is going to be a project champion. Now, who can be this project champion? This project champion, he can be a business manager. He can be a business manager or any senior technologist. Now this project champion, he has got the final decision of what are the different requirements that are going to make the cut. That is, what are the different requirements that are going to stay within the project. So this project champion is going to identify the final requirements that are going to be there within the software. So that is the third point, that is working towards the collaboration. The fourth one is asking the first questions. Now within asking the first questions, you're going to have three sets of questions that are going to be asked. Now we'll be seeing what are the three different sets of questions. The first set of context-free questions, that is going to focus upon the overall project goal and benefits. That is the first set of questions you're going to identify so that you get a clear idea of what is the goal of the software that you're developing, or what are the different benefits that can be achieved when the software is being built. So what are the questions that are going to be asked? Who is behind the request for this work? That is for who is requesting the particular software. You're going to identify that. Then who will use the solution? That is, you're identifying the different stakeholders in here, and you're identifying the end users, the people that are going to use the software. The next is what will be the economic benefit of a successful solution. That is, what can be the profit of this particular software that you're developing. How much sales would increase, how many people are going to use the software, how beneficial the software is, that is going to be identified. Then the third one is there another source for the solution that you need? That is, the software that is being developed, is there another source? That is, you've identified the different stakeholders, that is, this person has identified this is the software that needs to be developed. Whether there is another person that wants such similar type of software, that is, whether they are developing some similar type of software, that is going to be identified for the solution. Then this is the second set of questions. The second set of questions, this is going to focus upon, or you're going to get a better understanding of the problem. That is why you're developing the software. You're going to get a better idea of it, and you're also going to involve the customer so that he can give his own perspective about the software. That is, I want the particular software to be so and so. You're going to involve the customer within the second set of questions. Like this question that are going to be asked in here is, how would you characterize a good output? That is, the software that you're developing, based upon some specific input, it is going to give you the output. Based upon that, how are you going to characterize good? That is, what does good mean according to this customer? That is going to be identified. Now, based upon his good output, you're going to identify the solution. That is how you're going to generate the software. That is how your output is going to be. You're going to identify that. The next question is, what problem will the solution address? Now, the second set of question, as you have seen in here, it is going to understand the problem. So as you're involving the customer, you're going to ask questions from the customer so that he is going to tell you his particular point of view. That is what he thinks it is going to address. What problems will the solution address? Within the previous set of questions, you've identified the basic criteria, the goal of the software. And here you're identifying how you're going to address the solution. The next is, can you show me or describe the business environment in which the solution will be used? That is, where this particular software is going to be used, whether it is used in hospital, whether it is used in education field. That is your business environment. For what particular environment you're developing the software. If you get it now, when the stakeholders, they get an idea of for whom they are developing the software, it becomes easy for them to identify the specific features, whether they can design complex features or whether they need to define features in a very simple way that can be identified. That is whether the person that is going to use the software, whether they are trained persons or they are untrained persons. Based upon that, they can design the software. The next question is, will special performance issue or constraints affect the way the solution is approached? That is, whether the performance issues, whether the software that you're developing, if it does not give the best solution, or the different limitations that are there for the particular software, how it is going to affect the solution, that is going to be identified. Coming on to the final set of questions, the third set. This third set of questions, it is focusing upon the effectiveness of communication activity. That is, are you the right person to answer this question? The person that you're communicating with, the end user that has come to your end, or the stakeholder that has come to the developer, you're going to identify whether he is the right person to answer the questions. Are your answers official? That is, whether he is giving you the final answers, or he's going to refer to someone and then come and tell you the official answers. So that is why you're going to identify, so that you can identify whether you can lock the requirements in here or not. If suppose he is not the official person, then you might approach the official person to get the final cut upon the requirements. Then, are my questions relevant to the problem that you have? That is, you're also going to identify whether different questions that the developer is asking the customer, whether they are relevant questions or not. That is, if there are different areas where the developer needs to point us questions towards. The next is, am I asking too many questions? Can anyone else provide additional information? If suppose there are going to be some more personnel that are going to work upon the software, so you're also going to ask that apart from you, who are the additional persons that can answer. Then the next question is, should I be asking you anything else? That is, you've asked in here the different, whether your questions are relevant to the problem, and again you're asking to get a clarified view that whether all the questions are covered by the developer or not, so that the software you are developing, it does not miss any feature that was asked by the end user. So we have studied three set of questions. Within the three set of questions, the first set of questions, it focused upon the overall project goal and benefits. The second set of questions, it focused upon understanding the problem, and you are also allowing the customer to voice his perception. Then the third set of questions, it focused upon the effectiveness of communication. So this three set of questions, this is asking the first questions. The next topic is eliciting requirements. Now within the requirement engineering task, we have studied that elicitation, it is the second step within the requirement engineering task. Now within this elicitation, what is elicitation? Now within elicitation, requirement gathering is called as your requirement elicitation. Now, whenever you're gathering the requirements, what are the different steps that you're going to perform? That is, you're going to focus upon problem solving. You might elaborate the different ideas that were posed by the customer. You might negotiate a few ideas, and you're going to make a specification. So this is what is going to happen within the elicitation requirements. That is, within elicitation requirements, you're going to work together to identify the different problems, how you're going to negotiate the solution, how you're going to elaborate the requirements, and at the end, you're going to develop a specification for that is the set of requirements that are going to be there within the software. Now within this, you're going to have four different steps. The first is going to be collaborative requirement gathering, quality function deployment, user scenarios, and elicitation work products. We're going to look for each of them in detail. The first one is collaborative requirement gathering. Now within this collaborative requirement gathering, we're going to have 6 points that we're going to focus on. Now collaborative requirement gathering means, the word collaborating means you're going to communicate between the different software engineers, stakeholders, and customers. So the first point is, meetings are conducted and attended by both the software engineers and the stakeholders. That is, these are the people that are going to attend the meeting. Now within this meeting, you're going to identify the different rules for preparation. That is how you're going to design the software, and participation, this is going to be identified. That is, if suppose any person has got a new idea, how he's going to how he's going to convey that idea to the software engineers or to the stakeholders. You're going to identify the rules for working. Then an agenda is suggested. Now what is an agenda? Now agenda within this agenda you're going to have two different views, a formal and informal view. Now within the formal view you're going to cover all important points. That is the meeting. It should be formal enough so that you cover all the important points, and it should be informal enough so that you can encourage the free flow of ideas. That is, if anyone has got any idea, he should feel free to present his idea in the meeting. The next is a facilitator controls the meeting. Now this facilitator, it can be a customer, a developer, or an outsider. Now the job of the facilitator is he keeps the meeting going in a specific direction. That is, if you're deviating from your discussion, then this facilitator is going to get you all back to the agenda of the meeting. That is the different important points that need to be covered. Then the next is a definition mechanism is used. Now what are the different examples of definition mechanism? Within this, a definition mechanism, it can be a worksheet. You can make use of charts, wall stickers to put on ideas, or an electronic bulletin, or even chat rooms can be used. That are the different definition mechanisms are used so that you identify what are the different requirements so that you get a clear idea. The next is the goal is to identify the problem, propose elements of the solution, negotiate the different approaches, and specify the preliminary set of solution requirements. Now this is the first point that I have told you, what happens within the elicitation. Now within this elicitation phase, as you're gathering all the requirements, so as the requirement engineering, or you can say the requirement gathering begins, as requirement gathering is going to begin, what is going to be the first topic? The first topic of discussion is going to be what is the need of the software that you're developing. You're going to discuss why you're developing the software, and you also need to give justification for your need. That is that is, you're going to justify your statements for why you're designing the new product. Now whenever you're giving this need and justification for the software, each and every stakeholder, you need to agree for this statement that you've defined. That is, everyone should agree that the product is justified. Now as everyone has agreed that the product is justified, you're going to make an agreement. That is, the project is justified. Now once this agreement is established, each and every participant that is going to participate within the meeting, they can discuss or they can present their own list of discussion. That is the different features, the list of discussion. These all can be pinned on walls. Now as you have identified the different points of discussion, as you have pinned upon walls, the next one is, as each and every person within the meeting is going to present his own list of discussion. Now within a particular list, you might have one idea or you might have more than one ideas. So you're going to gather all the lists from the different people and you're going to combine the list. You're going to combine the list. If any new ideas are there, you can also add those new ideas within the discussion. Now, when you've added all of the different ideas and you've combined the list is going to be very long. Now, as the list is very long, the next step is going to be to shorten the list. The list is shortened. Now, when the list is shortened, you have a specific set of features that you are going to embed within the software. So within this list, you're going to divide the different teams. You're going to make different teams, or you might also make sub teams, so that each of this team can focus upon one specific requirement at a time. Now, when all of the sub teams are identified, each sub team is going to present the different specifications, mini specification. Now, a team is going to focus upon one specific specification. A sub team can focus upon the different multiple features that fall within this category. So each sub team is going to present the mini specifications to all the people that are involved within the meeting, that is all the attendees. Now within this, when you're telling all the specifications within the software, within this you can have any additions or deletions can be made within the software, that is addition and deletions of some specific features. Or you can also elaborate a few specifications. At the end, the final step is to make a specification, that is you're going to write a complete draft of all the points that are covered within this meeting. You're going to make a complete draft. So this is what is going to happen. The next phase is quality function deployment. The second phase, this is also called as QFD, quality function deployment. Now what is QFD? QFD is a technique that is going to transform the needs of the customer into technical requirements. That is what the customer wants within the software. You're changing it into technical requirement, that what a software can achieve. Now this QFD, it focuses on, or you can say it concentrates more upon customer satisfaction. It focuses more upon the customer satisfaction. Now within this QFD inspires three type of requirements. That is, there are three type of requirements that QFD recognizes. The first set of requirement is called as the normal requirements. Now normal requirements means if these requirements are present, the customer is satisfied. Now, what can be the different examples of normal requirements? It can be the graphical display or some specific functions or performance. These are all normal requirements that are expected within the software. That is why the name is normal requirements. The next set of requirement, it is expected requirements. Now these requirements, now the customer does not explicitly state those requirements. The customer does not explicitly state them. Now that is, he does not feel the need that this specific requirements, they need to be stated. Now if suppose this specific requirement, they are not present within the software, the absence of this requirements is going to lead to the dissatisfaction of the customer. Now examples of expected requirements, it can be the interaction between the human and machine, human and machine interaction, the correctness of the software. Now correctness means whenever you're executing a specific query or you're executing a task, it should give you the result that is correct. Then reliability and ease of software installation. That is, the software, it can be installed within some easy steps. That are your expected requirements. The customer does not state them. That is, whenever you're going for whenever you're meeting the developer that you want a software to be developed, you're going to say a specific set of features. You're not going to tell that the output that is being generated, it should be correct. I should be able to I should be able to rely on the software. It should give me correct input, it should take correct input, should generate correct output. You're not going to state that, because whenever you want a software, it is obvious that the software needs to give you correct results. The next one is exciting requirements. The excited requirements, these features, they go beyond the customer satisfaction. They go beyond the customer's expectations. That is, you are giving some additional features within the software that neither the customer has told you or neither the developer has promised to deliver those specific features, but the developer has embedded some extra requirements within the software. Now, if you have some additional requirements within the software, the customer is going to be satisfied. Now, it can be different extra features that you are adding within the software. So these are the three set of requirements. Now this QFD, this answer is also important for 2 or 3 marks also. Now this is within eliciting requirements, but this QFD, this is also important for 2 and 3 marks. The different, what is QFD, and mention the 3 types of requirements. If you've got it for 3 marks, you need to explain the 3 requirements: normal, expected, and exciting. If you got it for 2 marks, you can explain the definition of QFD. It concentrates on customer satisfaction and the 3 types of requirements. If it has asked you to list, you need to list. If it asks you to explain, then you need to write at least 1 line about each of the requirement. Then going on to the third step within eliciting requirement, that is user scenarios. Now within this user scenarios means what the user expects the software to do. That is the behavior of the software. Now, as requirements are gathered, an overall vision of the system, functions, and features begin to materialize. That is, when you've gathered this requirements, you get to know what software you're developing, why you're developing, what are the different features that need to be there within the software. You might develop different prototypes for the software. So each of these requirements are turning into materialistic things. Now these developers and end users, that is the people that are developing the software and the people that are going to use the software, they are going to create a set of scenarios. That is, what are the different tasks that this particular system is going to perform. You're going to create those set of scenarios that is going to identify how you're going to use the system. That is going to be identified. Now these scenarios is called as the use cases. Now this use case diagram, it is one of the UML diagram, the unified modeling language. You're going to study 9 different diagrams within this. One is the use case diagram that depicts the behavior of the system. Then the next one is elicitation work products. Now what are work products? Work product is anything that is based upon, when you've gathered all the requirements, the work product that is produced, it can be a document, it can be a file, it can be a report. Those are your different work products. Now these work products, they depend upon the size of the system or the product that you're developing. What type of work products you're going to use for the particular software, that is based upon the software that you're developing. Now within this elicitation work products, you're going to have a statement of need and feasibility. That is why you're developing the software. Now, as whenever you're designing or whenever you're working on mini projects, you make a report for the particular software. That is, what is the problem statement, what is the solution for the software, what is the hardware software requirements, the different diagrams to represent your project. That is similar as a work product. So you're going to have a statement of need and feasibility. That is why the software was developed. Then a bounded statement of scope of the system or the product. You're going to also identify the scope of the product. That is, each and everything, it need to be in a written format. A work product is a written format. Then a list of customers, users, and different stakeholders that have participated within the elicitation product. What is elicitation? Requirement gathering. Then a description of the system's technical environment. You can have the hardware and the software specifications. Then a list of requirements and the domain constraints that apply to. That is, you're going to have different set of requirements for each and every domain and the different constraints, the limitations. Then a set of usage scenarios, the different use case diagrams for each and every scenario. Use cases you're going to design for different scenarios. Now, when you make a use case diagram, it is going to provide you an insight into the use of the system or product under different operating conditions. That is how the system is going to behave. That is going to be identified. Any prototypes? What are prototypes? Prototypes are models to be developed to better define the requirements. You're going to make models so that it gives you a clear picture of what are the requirements and how they need to be achieved. Now, each of these work product is reviewed by all people who have participated in requirement elicitation. That is, all the attendees are going to review this work product. Now, let's take an example of the use case diagram so that you identify what is a user scenario. Now, within the use case diagram, you're going to have an actor. This is called as the actor. Now, you may have two types of actors. You can have a primary actor and you can have a secondary actor. Now, primary actor, it is the person that is initiating a specific task. That is, you can say this is the specific user. Whereas secondary actor is to complete the task that is performed by the primary actor, you need the help of the secondary actor. Let's take an example. Now this, as I've told you, these are primary actor, secondary actor, whereas this rectangle box in here, this is called as your use case boundary. Now this use case boundary is going to tell you that as actor is outside the system, whereas this is within the system. Now these oval shapes, these are called as your use cases. Now within this use case, the first task, if it is withdraw cash. The second is transfer fund. Then the third one is deposit cash. Now, let me name the primary actor. This primary actor can be a customer. The secondary actor is the bank. Now, let me name the use case boundary. This is the ATM. Now, this customer is going to have relationships. Now, this is a customer is going to directly withdraw the cash. Now, when he is withdrawing the cash, you need to enter the PIN and that PIN needs to be authenticated. Now, to withdraw cash, you need help of the bank so that your password gets authenticated. So you can see the primary actor wants to withdraw the cash, but to fulfill this particular task, you need the help of the secondary actor. That is the bank. Going on to the next step, if you want to transfer funds, then again there is another relationship association. Now to transfer funds also, you again need authentication from the bank. That is the second step. The third one is, if the customer wants to deposit the cash, again you need authentication from the bank. So this is the use case diagram for ATM. Now you can also have another person, another actor, if we add in here. If I'm adding another actor in here, name this person as the maintenance person. Let's add a use case for this maintenance person. Now the job of this maintenance person is to refill the machine. you're going to have a relationship in here. Now this maintenance person, he does not need any permission from the primary or the secondary actor. He's a completely different person. So these use cases are defined so that you get a better understanding of what are the different scenarios, that is, what are the different tasks that are going to be performed on the system. Now, when you get a diagrammatic representation of what are the different tasks or what are the different users that are going to perform the task, it becomes easy for you to identify the different tasks and to give permissions to whom. So this is a use case diagram, and so these are the user scenarios. With this, we end today's class. Thank you.